Our You Decide coverage continues ahead of South Carolina's June 11th primary, and right now our focus is on the race for Lawrence County Sheriff. In the Republican primary, Don Reynolds is running for re-election. His challenger is Chris Wilkes. And joining us now on his re-election campaign is Sheriff Don Reynolds. So, Sheriff, thank you so much for taking some time with us.
Yes,
First
sir.
and foremost here, you are running for re-election. So why should the people of Lawrence County re-elect you?
I would thank them for their vote to allow me to continue the advancement of the Lawrence County Sheriff's Office, because with the team I have in place, that is what we have done continuously since I've been there. We have continued to move forward in our practices and the resources that we have been able to attain, and I asked for the opportunity to continue that advancement.
Growth has been such a major issue in South Carolina, fastest growing state in the nation. Crime rates have relatively been low in Lawrence County, to your credit. So how do you maintain those low crime rates still with so many people moving into the upstate?
Well, it would definitely be a huge challenge, because our men and women have worked dedicated service toward that county in terms of protecting the people and the property. And there are really there are limitations to what anybody can do with resources they have. But we will continue to do our utmost best to be dedicated in our service, but that too, we will have to continue to progress and budgetary wise, in other words, to attain the resources we need, whether that's manpower or proper equipment. Manpower is most crucial, because you can have the greatest equipment in the world, but if you don't have good people, it's worthless. You know.
As Sheriff, what have you been able to see when it comes to the manpower that you may need with this growth? What have you been able to see as Sheriff as one of those key factors that you need to maintain or increase when it comes to growth and maintaining a low crime rate?
The tireless work that I see these people put in night and day to apprehend the suspect, it's not easy. We get assistance through SLED as far as the technology, as far as the electronic part of it, yes. But the manpower, the dedication, the foot soldiers that I have, they are tirelessly working, and without that, it wouldn't get done.
And to your credit, the clearance rates in regards of if there's a crime committed, you've been able to identify a suspect, apprehend a suspect, or there's been a conviction. Clearance rate is key, especially when you're looking at crime and the SLED numbers back in 2022. So how have you been able to maintain a pretty high clearance rate, and is it attributed to just the efforts of deputies?
For the past 3 years, we have maintained a high, or the highest clearance rate for the area, and that is from the production of what they produce. They are relentless in pursuing leads, follow-ups, and that's what that is the key, is the follow-up, just relentless.
Looking at the clearance rates, one area is relatively low in regards of sexual battery cases. You have a 36% clearance rate, one of the lowest out of all the kinds of crimes, according to SLED in the report in 2022. Why would that number be lower when it comes to sexual battery cases?
Well, there are some instances where individuals choose not to proceed any further. They decide they don't want people held accountable. There are instances where it's just, you can't push a rope, so to speak. So in order to get the prosecution to go all through, people have to stay committed. Not only us, but and that in turn, when that does happen, that's going to knock your percentage down.
In February, you made a Facebook post about 3 detention center staff members on administrative leave. 2 were fired. You say that they were caught inappropriately utilizing inmate labor for personal purposes. So what would be your message to anyone out there in Lawrence County who may have concerns maybe about accountability when it comes to these individuals under your watch who are utilizing inmate labor for personal purposes?
I believe that, well, I know that they all understand that. They have the training. It's explained to them. It's in the policy. Sometimes people, I guess, just think that maybe this won't be a big deal or this is okay here. But I think they understand that I hold myself to a standard, and I hold each and every one of the people around me to a standard. Because if I'm expecting you to walk a straight line, then I have to also.
What do you think is the #1 lesson you've learned as sheriff?
Well, I put it this way. I spent 30 years on the highway patrol, and I used to say I could see how people dressed and what they drove. Now I see where a number of people go home and how they live. It's been pretty eye-opening in the sense of it's a different life. So there are a lot of need out there. There's a lot of need for vulnerable adults, children, and animal control is a nightmare. There are so many needs out there that people need to just have a little consciousness, and I don't think some people have any consciousness about what they do.
So what would be your message now to the people of Lawrence County then, in regards of having that consciousness, and you have this platform here, so running for re-election, what would be your message to them?
I promise all of you, all of them, that they will be accountable one way or the other. Either they're going to have to be responsible and maintain the care for these vulnerable adults, these children, these pets, or you will be held. We will hold you accountable. You can hold yourself accountable, or we will, because justice can only be gotten from an officer of the law. Without that deputy out there doing his job to help acquire, because the victims get left out way too often. The criminal, he gets represented, he gets deals, but the victim way too often gets left out in this thing in too many ways. So we are there to represent the people in need, and we help people in humanitarian ways. We have programs, but our ultimate reason for existing is to protect people and property, and that's hold people accountable for their actions.
Okay, Sheriff Don Reynolds, running for re-election. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.